Hi, how's it going? Today, we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about the active reading process. So, one of the things I always like to encourage students to think about is reading involves more than just putting your eyes on the line, right? So, I have a real quick question. How many of you have ever had a reading assignment for school and you found yourself saying, I don't get it? Right. Yeah, I mean, it happens to all of us. Okay. And so, what I hope is that this discussion about active reading will give you a strategy that's going to better enable you to get it when you're given a reading assignment for school. Okay. So, let's dive in. All right. What I'm going to do is get my presentation ready, and that way you'll be able to follow along with me. Here we go. So the goal for this lesson is that you would understand the three phases of the reading process, that you can identify at least one reading strategy, and then you'll be able to also identify at least three characteristics of a positive, productive study environment. So first, let's take a look. As I mentioned, successful readers are going to do a lot more than just look at what they see on the page. They're going to be really engaged with their text. And this is what we call active reading. And it consists of three steps. First, you preview, then you visualize, and then you clarify. So let's dig in. First, when you preview, we kind of get our brains ready for what it is that we're going to read about. If you think about, the example I like to use is when you're going to go swimming, not many of us are going to go ahead and just jump right into the water on a cool morning, right? You're going to kind of ease your way in, put your toes in, and your ankles, and your knees, and then eventually you'll take the plunge, right? Otherwise, it just kind of like knocks the breath out of you, and just really, it's disruptive to your body. In the same way, sometimes when you're given a reading assignment for school, your brain may not be ready for it. It may be a topic that you're not very familiar with. On the other hand, it may be a topic you're really interested in and you know a lot about. That's going to help you understand what level of engagement do you need to prepare yourself, for as you begin your reading. One of the things that you can do before you sit down and begin your reading, but you're just kind of looking things over, it's called KWL, and you write down ideas of like, well, what do I know about this topic? So you could think about or even jot down some of the things you know about the topic you're about to read about. Then what do I want to learn? So what do I think I'm going to learn about over the course of this reading assignment? You're developing some questions that you're going to look for answers for as you read. This is what we call building a reader's purpose, when you give yourself something to do as you're doing your reading. Here's a really great kind of workaround. If you have a reading assignment from a textbook and they already have questions for you, that's probably what you want to learn, because that's what your professors want you to learn. So absolutely use those questions under that second section. And then lastly, after you finish doing your reading, answering your questions, you can ask yourself, what did I learn? And this is the KWL reading strategy. It's a proven strategy to help students be more active readers. Then you get into the visualization process. So after you're done previewing, you visualize. So as you read, you continue to ask yourself questions and looking for answers. So for example, what might this situation look like or feel like if I was there? And then you write down the answers to your questions. Really important to write your answers down. A lot of students tell me all the time, oh, don't worry, Dr. Helvey, I'm going to remember this. Guess what happens 2 or 3 days later? Or maybe the last time I see them in class is on Wednesday and I won't see them again until Monday. And they've had a full weekend of fun or a full weekend of work. Things get forgotten. So it's really important. Don't just write the questions down, write the answers to those questions down as well. So you go through some of these different questions and you talk out loud and you write down your notes. And this is going to help you keep track of the information that you've been able to come up with. But visualizing is really important, because as you're reading, you're trying to construct a sort of mental movie about what's happening in the reading. You're going to force yourself to understand the reading better, right? If there are gaps in your mental movie, you then at least know where the problems are, and you can try to, fill in those gaps. Even if you can't fill in those gaps, now you have very good specific questions that you can bring to your teachers or your classmates, versus just going into class and saying, I didn't get it. Because there's not a lot that we as teachers can do to help you with that kind of comment. But a specific question, that's a great conversation starter. Lastly, we get to clarifying. And you've kind of heard me talking about this already. This is when you look at what you've read and seeing what you've learned, what answers you've found, and then trying to identify, any gaps, any holes, any missing, answers to questions that you weren't able to tackle. So, first you try and figure it out on your own. All right. With all things college, you're going to hear teachers talking about, you got to take responsibility for your education. Well, that's hard to know what that really means, what that looks like. What it looks like is you're the first person who tries to find the answers to the problems that you have. Okay. So you have your questions, you look through, find the gaps, find where you didn't answer the questions, and try to go back and see if you can find those responses. Now, that doesn't always work, though. So the next stop may be to contact some of your classmates, some of your friends who are taking the same work, and seeing what they came up with, and kind of cross-leveling information. They can help you out, you can help them out, and then everybody gets to come to class better informed. Finally, if those two steps for clarification didn't work, you can always bring your questions to class, and that's when your professor can help you figure out what's going on. Now, it's really important to think about, yes, there's this three-step process, previewing, visualizing, and clarifying, but there's more than just one strategy for active reading, and that's going to involve, where are you doing your reading? You might be able to tell I'm in an office right now and I'm sitting at a desk. I'm not in my bedroom lying on my bed, because that's where I go to sleep at night. And my body knows that when I'm lying down, it's time to close my eyes. I'm going to get tired. It starts to kind of shut down. Likewise, I'm not in front of a TV, because if I was, you'd be distracted by all the sounds playing around me, right? And so would I. So one of the things you want to think about is finding a work environment that's distraction-free. I'm sitting at a chair, at a desk, or I'm sitting up straight, and I'm not uncomfortable, but I'm certainly not ready to go to sleep like I might if I was in a recliner, on a couch, or in my bed. Make sure you have your necessary writing utensils and everything on hand, and make sure you set time limits. This discussion is only going to go on for so long, because you and I know we can only do lectures for so long. So setting limits is important. Make sure you set up a time where you can take brain breaks. Generally speaking, I tend not to like to work for more than about 45 minutes without stopping for a break. Lastly, have a drink or a snack nearby. I have a seltzer with me. It kind of helps just to in case I get a little tired or a little, sleepy, I can have something to drink or a little something to eat and kind of refuel and keep working. So these are the parts that we need to think about as we're engaging in our reading assignments, being active readers. So I hope that you've been able to go ahead and have a better understanding of what it means to be an active reader, what the 3 steps are involved with the active reading process, some strategies that you can use to be a more active reader, and just how exactly you can reshape your study environment so that you can further support that active reading process at home. Best of luck and good luck with your reading.